We're here with Henry Butler, having a cup of Java in New Orleans, Louisiana. Good morning, Henry.
Hi, what's happening, man? Good to see you and good to be with you.
I want to ask you now about your personal taste in music. I mean, what do you listen to for pleasure in regards to styles or genres?
Well, gosh, I listen to a lot of things. I listen to classical music, I listen to rock, I listen to blues, gospel, and depending on where I am in the country or in the world, I'm trying to find the local influences, like when I'm in parts of Tennessee or Kentucky or Virginia, I try to find the station that plays Appalachian music on the dial. When I'm in New York, there's so many things to listen to up there. There's great jazz, there's rock, there's rap, there's all kinds of things. So I don't limit myself to any one style, and it keeps me stimulated musically.
When you're listening for pure pleasure, when you're off, when the clock went off and you're not working anymore, any preferences that way?
Not really. If I'm just getting off from a show, for instance, maybe I don't want to listen to any music. You know, or if I'm in a town where there's a jam session, I may go to that, regardless of what kind of jam session it is. If it's jazz or blues or roots type music, then I'll go to that, and whatever it is, I enjoy that. Especially if the musicians are good, and especially if it appeals to me.
Well, Henry, as a professional music artist, you are fortunate to be able to travel the world and see a lot of places. What are some of your favorite places and cities and favorite peoples?
Very good question. I love this country. You know, it's so vast, and it's huge, and so many styles of music, so many ethnicities, and just the many influences that you encounter being in this country. When I go to Virginia, New York, Southern New York is vastly different from upstate New York. Pennsylvania has its many musical styles. Philadelphia, I've always loved and appreciated the music coming out of Philadelphia, which was influenced much by people like Tom Bell, and on the other side of the street, maybe, or around the corner, people like McCoy Tyner, and the many great musicians coming out of that town. I spent some years in Michigan appreciating the sounds of Detroit. Even though they had left at that time, Motown was certainly a big contributor to the music of Detroit. I like the music of Louisiana. There's so many styles of music in Louisiana. So when I go up to Lafayette or the towns around that area, I certainly appreciate the Zydeco music, Cajun music, and coming down to New Orleans, the music that was the evolution of the blues, the R&B and funk styles here. Really love this stuff. Appreciate people like Leo Nocentelli, who was really the mind, in my opinion, behind the meters. I haven't really been to Scotland, but I was pretty close to there and got a chance to hear a lot of musicians playing Scottish styles of music. Was part of the influence of the Appalachian musical style in this country. Love the music of Brittany, which is, I think it's off the coast of France over there. Quite interesting stuff to me. I've always loved flamenco music. You know, some of these countries that I've been to, it's a little disappointing because you can't always hear a lot of the original ethnic styles that you'd like to hear, because, you know, we've really gotten control of the music markets over there, and so most of the time you're hearing American music. Maybe the lyrics are in the local tongues, but it's the American beats. And I found a lot of that, say, in Brazil, but I still managed to get some of the great samba stuff down there, and I love the people down there. They're very warm and just very accommodating. Love the people of Latvia. I haven't been there in a while, but when I was there, I found them to be very gracious and very hospitable. And I love their choral music over there. It's really wonderful. This planet is full of great stuff and great music and great artistic manifestations.
Well, with your travels, obviously you have met people from different cultures and also been able to sample cuisines from other places.
Yes.
Any particular cuisines come to mind as maybe some favorites of yours?
Oh man, yes. Well, let's start with the Louisiana cuisines. I mean, there are several cuisines here that I really enjoy, including the Creole and Cajun. And of course, now there are other things that are starting to influence the cuisines here. But we're also in turn influencing many of the cuisines that are coming into New Orleans, like Thai and Japanese. And I mean, you walk into a Japanese restaurant here and you think you're going to get normal sushi, and you wind up getting sushi that's got a little Creole spice and or Cajun spice, and it's great. It's wonderful. This is a very strong cuisine. I mean, the Creole and Cajun cuisine here in this state, and it always influences other cuisines in a positive manner, in my opinion. I love Indian food. I've always loved Indian food. As a matter of fact, when I lived in Brooklyn, I spent a lot of time down in the village as a district of Indian restaurants. And we used to go there all the time. I mean, we sampled practically every restaurant in that area, as well as other restaurants in New York that featured Indian food. One of the best Indian restaurants that I've realized was in Frankfurt, Germany. Man, it was some of the greatest Indian food I've ever had. I'll have to go back to Frankfurt and eat there again. Love Malaysian food. Actually, in D.C., I found this great Indo-Malaysian place that I guess I haven't had anything like it since. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but great food there. You know, there's so many wonderful ethnic cuisines or food styles that are available, and just like there's so many wonderful people that are on this planet, and you know, I wish I could meet all of them, but I guess in this life I probably won't have that much time to do that. I'm always looking for new foods and new styles, new tastes to realize, and I think my life will always be full because I'll always be traveling and I'll always be looking, and I hope that I realize some more of those great restaurants.
Well, Henry, now that you've made us all hungry, thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.
Let's switch gears here for just a second. What are some of the things that you do for fun when you're not working? Like any hobbies or favorite pastimes? Anything that's not music-centered?
Some people may know about my photography endeavors. I've been a photographer in my free time for over 17 years. And I've exhibited in many of the major cities across the country, like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles. I've also exhibited in southern Illinois, here in New Orleans, in Miami, and I've also been published in many of the newspapers across the country, including the Chronicle in San Francisco and the LA Times, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and others, Spin magazine. And so I love doing that, and usually people ask why I do it, and I always answer that I do it because I enjoy catching people off guard and I also do it to see if it will help my intuitive faculties. And I also do it because I'm interested in exploring and realizing why people are so interested in looking at a still image on a piece of paper. Yeah, that fascinates me. I also play around when I have people who will let me do it with driving cars. Most of the time, I try not to do it in major cities, but I have done that. I was doing this in San Francisco on Market Street once, and the police stopped us, and it was pretty interesting, his response to that. So we decided not to do that again in that market. I've also done it here in New Orleans. The last real time that I drove in New Orleans was during the Jazz Festival of, I think it was 2000, when I was urged by about a dozen people to drive one of the cars that were in the area. And didn't take too much urging because I was ready to do it anyway, but about 5 or 6 passengers got into the car, and the rest of the guys were out directing traffic. And I don't know what happened. It wasn't my fault. I was on the right side of the street, and about 40 feet later after driving, I wound up on the left side of the street hitting a parked car. Well, just so happened that the driver was in the car, and he got out trying to figure out what was going on, and everybody ganged up on him, and he just kind of let it go, and especially since there wasn't much damage to his car. Thank you, guy. Appreciate it. He was actually the owner of one of the eateries in this town. Thank you again. So I do play around sometimes with driving in empty parking lots. I had my first real driving lesson a couple of years ago. We still do that from time to time. I also like reading. I'm big into some of the great philosophers, and also I enjoy working on myself. I enjoy working on the knowledge of myself, let's just say. Sometimes it's a lot of fun.
Are you a sports fan at all?
Love sports. I guess football is my greatest love in terms of sports, but I also like basketball. My least favorite sport is probably baseball, but New Orleans is part of football country here in the South, and even before the Saints were here, I used to like LSU and Southern and some of the other local colleges. I really get into it.
So do you listen to the game on the radio?
I listen to the game on the radio wherever I am, but I like it on TV too. The TV announcers usually have a different take, and certainly they're more sparse with their words and the way they announce, but sometimes I like to get what's happening out of context and use my imagination as to what's really happening.
So speaking of television, do you listen to movies? Or do you listen to television other than sports events?
Sometimes I listen to movies, especially if there's some historical significance, or if I think the movie is really important in another way. I don't get a chance to listen to a whole lot of TV. Of course, after 9/11, I spent a lot of time checking the events of the world out. There is one news network that I listen to probably more than others. They have a variety of shows that I like. But yeah, I think TV definitely plays a very important role in the life of this country and the life of the world.
Do you go to the theater?
Occasionally, if I'm with a person that I know I can get to explain certain things to me, then I will do that.